GLC and it's a C-Class wearing platform shoes, and today I'm here to review it. GLC is sort of a middle child in the Mercedes SUV lineup and directly competes with the BMW X5 and Audi Q5, and in my opinion she looks the best amongst its rivals. Do tell us in the comments below which one you find best. So back in the day when this GLC was launched in the market, it was priced around 55 lakhs, but now you can get this GLC in the market for around 30 lakhs. And if you want a sweet deal on this GLC or any other car, do hit us up on our socials and we'll get you that deal. Let's kick off this video by talking about the exterior design of the GLC, and from the first glance, see the head turner and a pretty looking car. From the front, as you can see, that the car resembles C-Class a lot, but other than that, it's a pretty standard Mercedes front. You've got some lines and creases on the bonnet which makes the car look bulkier, and you've got these big lights with Mercedes branding all in the center. A very standard Mercedes looking front. You've got a massive air intake. What I don't like is the quality of this grille. It's plasticky and cheap, though you have some chrome for added elegance, but Mercedes doing its thing. You've got some fake ones on the side, and now onto the side. From the side, the GLC looks pretty low and sleek, which you do not expect out of an SUV, but it is what it is. Now coming to the alloy design, as standard across all variants, you get these 18-inch alloy design, which in my opinion suits the character of the car. But if you want something bigger, you can go for the 43 AMG, which is the fully loaded, gets you 19-inch alloy wheels. But other than that, it's a fairly standard side of a fairly standard luxury SUV. You've got some chrome for the added elegance over here, and on the stepper on the side. And of course, being a side, we ended with the fuel tank capacity, which in this case is 66 liters, and then there's the rear. In the rear, the GLC looks its best. All the credit goes to these lights at the rear, which makes the whole rear end pop out. And other than that, it's a fairly standard Mercedes rear. You've got your badging right over here, and over there. You've got your standard Mercedes bumpers with some added chrome for that extra elegance. And back in the day when Mercedes used to think that fake exhausts weren't cool, so you've got some cutouts for your exhaust, but the real exhaust is pretty inside. And that's pretty much it about the exterior design. Now let's hop in. Inside the GLC, and instantly you notice that the quality and the luxury is on point. Everything is sturdy and the build quality is amazing. Then there are the materials around you. You've got this lovely dual tone leather color with brown and beige, which looks absolutely premium. But other than that, you've got soft touch on the dash. Over here, you've got leather with some dual stitching going around, and you've got some chrome and wooden pieces in the center, which looks absolutely premium. Onto the doors, it extends as well. As you can see, there's stitching right over here and the wooden panels, and everything is plushed with chrome, which makes you feel so expensive. Then comes the center bit, which is wrapped around with these chrome accents all around, which makes it look super expensive, and the quality of buttons and everything is really high quality. But I also like these AC vents. They've got this lovely aluminum finish to it, and they feel very sturdy and flimsy, and I hate that plasticky things which are not there, which is brilliant. Then there's this infotainment, which in my opinion at that time was box to use. Frankly, in my opinion, the infotainments of an X3 or a Q5 would be much better. But covering this infotainment, starting with this placement of the screen, I think Mercedes did not pay any attention or give any effort or time in placing the screen, as it looks like an afterthought. And the infotainment at that time could only be controlled by the swivel wheel and the touchpad down below, but it is pretty shit to use. As you can see, it's very confusing and highly distracting while you're driving. And that brings me on to the annoying things about the GLC. While this wooden trim looks absolutely luxurious, but it puts up fingerprints really fast and gets scratches along the way, which is bad. For a car that was priced over 50 lakhs, you get a manually adjusted steering wheel. Why did they do this in every luxury car? While you thought the side steppers were for your convenience, all they do is dirty your trousers every time you get out. The side bezels look bigger than the screen. While you thought over 50 lakhs you'd get an electronic tailgate, but it's a manually adjusted tailgate. While you thought paying 50 lakhs would get you a 4-zone climate control, all you get is a cheap plastic right over here. What's the point of having a massive boot if all your space is going to be eaten up by the spare tire? It's not all bad about the GLC, as you get this massive panoramic sunroof at the start. The car is fitted with these blinds to block the pleasance out. You've got a pop-out reverse camera for a cleaner rear end. And you're treated with luxury even at the boot, as the seats are a 60-40 split and can be folded with the press of a button. And not just from the boot, but from here as well. The car comes standard with Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, but it's wild. In the back seat of the GLC, and instantly you notice there's ample amount of room to sit here, and people over 6 foot would be absolutely fine, as I have enough headroom, enough knee room. Underfloor spot is nice, though there's a little problem with the under-thigh sports, and I feel the seats aren't deep enough, but they will do. Carrying 3 people at the back could be a challenge. There's this massive hump in the center, but by headroom they would be fine, as this car has a tall height. But for going on longer journeys, you can put down this armrest with 4 people inside, and it's a pretty comfortable position. Also, the windows are big, and you've got this glass above you to make the interior feel light, roomy. And that brings me on to the practicality of the car, which is pretty nice. Practicality in the GLC is pretty amazing, as you've got these huge door bins to keep the bottle of practicality. In the rear seat, the door bins do get smaller, but they still are wide enough and can accommodate the bottle of practicality. You've also got 2 cup holders in the center for each passenger. The glove box opens nice and big and can accommodate multiple bottles of practicality. If you've got items flying around in the footwell area, you've got some net to keep them in place. While you thought the cup holders were just for the front passengers, you've got pop-out cup holders for both of them. Also, the front seat has some airplane-like pockets to keep some items over there. Also, the rear armrest has some space over here, but it's quite flat. If you're a smoker, it won't be a problem, as you've got an ashtray and a 12-volt socket. Also, the center armrest space is quite deep and big, and you've got 2 USB port and an SD card reader, but who uses that these days? Another thing I love about Mercedes is that the blind retracts in the center, which does not eat up your headroom, which is a brilliant thought. Which brings me on to the boot of the GLC, and it's 550 liters, which is massive. As you can see, you've got a wide opening to put things inside. Also, the load lift is pretty flat, so getting in or out items is an easier task. Also, you've got some hooks over here, and there. And under here, you have some storage space which actually locks, and it's pretty decently big. Also, you've got this basket to keep your fresh vegetables, or I don't know, whatever you want to keep. Also, this load cover comes out pretty easily, and the best part about it is you've got space to fit it in somewhere, and now you've got this massive boot. And then there's the powerhouse of the GLC, which is a 2-liter engine producing 241 bhp and 370 Newton meters of torque, mated with a 9-speed gearbox, and it's fun to drive. So let's take it out on a drive. But you've got other variants as well. So you've got a 220D, which produces 167 bhp and 400 Newton meters of torque. And then there's the big daddy, the GLC 43 AMG, producing 362 bhp and 520 Newton meters of torque. Driving the GLC, and it just feels like a C-Class with just jacked up suspension and much better visibility. And for an SUV, she handles pretty well, and the suspension is a job well done. They're on a softer side, and they absorb bumps really well. Literally feels that you're gliding out there on the road. And then there's the insulation. I think it's the best in class. Mercedes have done an incredible job with keeping the outside sounds outside and keeping the cabin as quiet as possible. You only hear the engine when you put your foot down, but that's also a sweet sound, as it's an incredible powertrain down there. The whole ride quality feels very laid back and comforting. I think it's perfect for a daily driver, and in traffic it's an absolute gem. What I don't like is the brake and the steering wheel. They're actually pretty numb, which is not good. If you want something more aggressive, I think you'll be better off with the Q5 or the X3. So now let's put her into Sport Plus. What it does is makes the steering and the brakes a little less numb and the throttle a bit more responsive. So now let's see how she performs in a 0 to 100. Don't mistake her to be a slow car, as this petrol engine in the front is pretty powerful, and as soon as you put your foot down, it comes to life, and it's a brilliant car to drive. But during the turns, you definitely feel the body roll, which is, of course, being an SUV would be there, but the sports mode in this car doesn't make a huge difference. The steering and the brakes become a little bit less numb. What increases is the throttle response, which is also not that great. I think the rivals have done a better job. But overall speaking, it's a fun car to drive. It's comfortable, and and it's well insulated. Also, it looks good from the outside and from the inside, and I would take this for a daily driver any day. Until next time guys, see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.